Ladies and gentlemen, whether you like it or not,
Greetings, gentle viewers!
Hagen.
Oh, fuck. Someone with a digitally treated voice thing that's hard to understand. Minions, add subtitles! Yes?
Show me proper respect. I am Mr. That Guy with the Glasses, the man the site is named after, the Dark Overlord, overlording everything.
I thought it was named after Doug Walker.
A mere puppet. Now you are a member, it is time you knew the truth. We will not allow someone who doesn't hit their unnecessary cameo quota to go to any future anniversary video. You weren't in Suburban Nights. Why is that?
Because I wasn't signed until after it was made?
You really think that guy with the glasses doesn't have access to time travel? Not believing that guy with the glasses is all-powerful? That's another blank mark against you. At this rate you'll be lucky to attend Anniversary 35. Some people who were never funny return to Kickassia. It's an ironic title. You can laugh.
What exactly do you want?
I want you to say this with me. That guy with the glasses is mother. That guy with the glasses is father. We love and serve that guy with the glasses.
No.
Say it if you don't want your soul returned and to be banished back to Revue-topia.
What's wrong with...
Say it!
That guy with the glasses is mother. That guy with the glasses is father. We love and serve that guy with the glasses.
Good. Now you have accepted that I have to kill your real mother. She's still being held by the Sultan of Darkness, isn't she?
Yes.
Good. Now it's time for you to review a silly Bruce Lee in Hell movie. Kung Tai Ted did it first, but as a lower member of the site, all you are worth are his sloppy seconds. Say yes, master.
Yes, master.
Good. And Hagen.
You should see the look on your face.
Skinny little bitch. Minions! Destroy Wales!
Mistress, Wales is under official protection, as a dominatrix you once dated lives there.
I don't care! Destroy it!
Mistress, I definitely wasn't paid by Welshie to say this, but what if he really does rule that guy with the glasses? Should you take that chance?
Okay, just this once, I'll bite my tongue. Greetings, gentle viewers. Bruce Lee was the greatest martial artist in film history, but what happened to him after he died? The makers of this film think they know. Okay, fair warning before I go into this review. You will come across stuff in this that you will not want to believe. Your rational mind will scream at you that she's making this shit up. But no, I most likely will not be making that shit up. This film is dedicated to the millions who loved Bruce Lee. Why do I get the feeling that many of them will want to set the makers of this on fire? And the fact that they can't even keep that line straight really shows love and dedication. We open on a title card that's over a short clip that's not actually in the film's continuity. Bruce Lee in a soundstage facing off against James Bond, complete with sideburns. As you can see, no copyright was left uninfringed. If this film had been made for the internet, they'd probably call it fair use. And the soundtrack farts at us. Farting soundtracks. Oh, how I missed you. In a section that doesn't actually have anything to do with the film, Bruce keeps fighting people and things and people as the credits come up. Credits like this guy with half a name.
Finally, after Bruce defeats what I think are supposed to be skeletons, we see what's supposed to be the Godfather battling more skeletons, Bruce taking on Zatoichi the blind swordsman, and then Kato battling Clint Eastwood as the man with no name, and Bruce Lee then grabbing Dracula and the Exorcist nuts and then teleporting away, and then teleporting back and kicking them. And finally, Bruce Lee fighting this guy who might be the Monkey King, I guess.
Please remember, I am not shitting you about any of this.
And the director is called Low Key. Too many jokes! Too many fucking jokes! So, 5 minutes into a 95-minute film, the film actually begins. It's hell. Here played by a leftover set from The Perils of Gwendolyn.
This is not what I expected this place to look like at all. Yeah, we got totally lied to by our album covers.
Why hell looks like a bad realization of old school China is never explained. Get used to things never being explained.
Chinese hell apparently is terrible service because Bruce Lee has just arrived, even though this was made 4 years after he died.
Attention! The king is coming!
I wonder if he does that every time someone dies, or is it just every time a man who looks vaguely sorta kinda like a famous martial artist dies? And, yeah, the crotch. Is that a nunchuck in his pants, or is he just happy to see? Never mind.
Big! It's big, enormous!
So, just when you expect the film to go on and not explain why Bruce Lee is being played by a badly chosen double, or a photo attached to a mirror, or even some stock footage, the film throws us a curveball and explains why he's being played by the Chinese Zachary Quinto.
Hey, are you sure it's Bruce Lee? Doesn't look like him.
It so happens when a person dies, their face and their body undergo a change. When he was alive, all the girls were after him. They just ate him up.
That is so much more than you usually get in a Bruceploitation. The problem is that the woman who had to be told that must have died at some point, so she should have known that. Especially considering she, hypothetically, could have been a large Australian Aboriginal man when she was still alive. The film then shows its brilliant research by claiming that Bruce Lee was born in Hong Kong, when, like the other Asian icon of American cinema, Hikaru Sulu, he was actually born in San Francisco. We then find out that the right-hand man of the Chinese Lord of the Dead doesn't know what a nunchuck is.
What on earth could it be? Are you the Bruce Lee? Why have you a weapon when you come here? I hope you don't intend to attack me.
Attack you? He's dead! And he's still unconscious! You can't attack someone when they're unconscious! Observe. Now go and attack Phalus. You see?
Guards, you better punish him.
Of course, the only thing that can rouse Bruce Lee is a beating.
Bruce Lee doesn't need an alarm clock to wake him up. He needs only fists.
Where's my Johnson?
Huh. Who the hell are you? How dare you get down on your knees before me? Or do you want to die already? Huh?
Is there something wrong with you? You're weird. I'm gonna die, you're gonna die.
Excuse me? You are both dead.
I know who you are, a rat.
Hey, don't give me any shit.
This dialogue is insane. It sounds like they took crap B-movie dialogue about a nonsensical subject and put it through a broken version of Babelfish, which, now that I think about it, is probably what they did actually. So the King of the Underworld explains that, well, he's the King of the Underworld.
You're a fool. A stupid fool. How did you become king?
By exploiting the workers.
He managed to become king because he has access to a pillar which, when shook, will create earthquakes that can be felt all through hell.
Of course, there's a few things that this doesn't explain.
A. How he took over in the first place. B. Why no one else can use it. C. What sort of a guy sets up a weapon that'll destroy his own base along with everyone else. And D. Why the threat of death scares anyone who's dead.
See? Now you see how powerful I am.
Well, in that case, I guess I'm gonna have to call it quits. But do me one favor. You can give me back my weapon. I'm dead without it.
This is bad comedy.
So Bruce Lee goes into the town, and I can't tell you exactly where he goes because there's no subtitles on any of the signs, but it seems to be some sort of a cafe.
Hell is renowned for its fine and affordable eateries. Bruce orders the foghorn of the house.
Also in the cafe are Popeye the Sailor, Kane from Kung Fu, and Zatoichi the Blind Swordsman. Popeye and Kane are starstruck when they see Bruce Lee.
Hey, that's Bruce Lee. Oh, hey, hey.
And no, they don't mention that A, Popeye's fictional, B, Kane's fictional and comes from about 100 years beforehand, and C, that Bruce Lee invented Kane.
So after Popeye and Kane leave, Zatoichi kills flies and gets pissed off at Bruce Lee. So pissed off that there are jump cuts and sound effects.
Son of a bitch!
Hey, mister, why are you making trouble with those triad thugs from Chinatown? They can be real mean and nasty.
Chinatown? How the fuck can you tell where that is?
So a gang of triad guys from Chinatown arrive. You can tell them because they look like they're visiting from other films. Just like everyone else. Clint Eastwood is inexplicably Asian and dead and a cowboy, and James Bond just dresses and sounds like a riverboat gambler.
Brother, this guy fancies himself as a fighter. What a stupid jerk.
Because explaining why a wandering samurai, a still-living Hollywood actor, and the greatest fictional spy in history have gone to the same hell and joined up with the Chinese triads would most likely take several films to explain, they just have the local mime troupe attack Bruce Lee. Bruce unfortunately loses the fight because someone spiked the sound editor's drink while he was working on this bit, and he was driven insane. I don't think the off-screen game of laser tag really helped matters either. Fortunately, the random as fuck brigade and the cast of Intermedio 2, even less budget, just decide to walk away rather than finish him off.
That's probably for the best. Bruce Lee's dead and he's still fighting. I'd hate to think what he would do if he made him even more dead.
Luckily, Pai Mei from Kill Bill is a doctor, and he and his concubines decide to take Bruce Lee into his surgery.
I'm Watto. He's badly hurt. I have to give him some treatment. Give me a hand. Take him to my house.
Okay.
I sleep now.
With the lost skeleton off to bother Bam and Tergasso, the film digs into two recurring themes. Bruce Lee's massive cock and his infidelity that the film seems to think he was infamous for.
I used to play around just too much. I'm sorry, Linda.
Linda? Who's this Linda?
Linda was my wife.
And I'm pretty glad she probably never saw this.
Bruce questions Pai Mei about getting back to Earth, and suddenly we're in the villain's penthouse of doom, complete with their own men in skeleton outfits, and hot and cold running hookers.
We'll all have a drink. Drink up. Cheers. Cheers.
Gentlemen, to evil.
John Exorcist, you must drink too. He's hoping you become the king soon.
Ah, thank you. But let's not count the chickens. But I'm sure with your help to me, we're bound to succeed. Thank you.
Cheers.
Why is The Exorcist French? And, Asian?
Apart from the guys we've already seen before, the gang here includes Emmanuel. Yes, that one. The Godfather, as in the Marlon Brando one, is played by the Chinese Wayne Newton, and yes, The Exorcist, as in Father Merrin, who was played by Max von Sydow and Stellan Skarsgård. They're the local crime bosses and are planning to make The Exorcist the new King of the Dead for some reason, which escapes me now and I'm sure will continue to escape me once I finish this review. Anyway, The Exorcist is afraid of Bruce Lee, but Clint Eastwood, not so much.
What's more, we've got Dracula, and he can summon up all his zombies to help us too. What's the problem?
Dracula doesn't have zombies. They don't even come from the same continent. And you're in hell. Aren't you all zombies?
Back in somewhere, some guys are gambling, and for fans of the X-Files Series 3, they're using literal hell money. Bruce Lee wins all the money, divides the cash up equally between everyone, and bans gambling for money.
Therefore introducing communism to hell's gambling world.
Unfortunately, some of the public don't care for Bolshevikism and try to counter-revolutionary him to death. Bruce, of course, beats him like Stalin would a gang of small Kulak children.
Read a fucking book.
Bruce then trains the locals to help him overthrow the triads and the king for the greater glory of the Soviet Socialist Undead Republic, and no one points out the weird irony in seeing Bruce Lee training Kane, a character who starred in a show called Kung Fu, how to do Kung Fu. Meanwhile, in the bathroom of Injustice, the king's concubines talk about Bruce Lee, and specifically the size of his cock, well, until the king arrives and decides to do some leching.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, lovely. Oh, what a fine pair of breasts you have. Oh.
All right, my little fishes.
Of course, all baths have to come to an end, and this one ends when someone manages to teleport all the water away.
What's happened to that water?
Fortunately, one of the many things that the local hell police investigate is the illegal teleportation of water. Alas, the police find themselves easily distracted by their love for off-screen women. Luckily, Popeye and Kane decide to fight them.
And amazingly, for a man who was the star of a TV show called Kung Fu, who is commonly referred to as Kung Fu, and who we earlier saw being trained in Kung Fu by Bruce Lee himself, Kane is still not doing any Kung Fu, even though he's in a Kung Fu film.
Anyway, Zatoichi sees the guys battling the police and so decides that he should fight Bruce Lee.
Blind fool, you had it.
I can always go someplace else. I can't stay here, so I've no choice.
You said it. Now, get out of here.
Long story made only slightly less long. Because I used the epic Zatoichi dancing sequence, Zatoichi gets the shit kicked out of him by Bruce Lee. And then he gets to retire for some reason. So the king enjoys a leisurely and semi-aquatic game of pin the tail onto the whore when Bruce Lee meets up with Emmanuelle. And they fuck.
I didn't see that coming.
Emmanuelle's fellow villains watch, because she needs an audience, I guess. Bruce is so not into that, he momentarily forgets whose bed he's in.
Get out, you bitch.
Oh, so that's what happens when someone refuses her.
Because the Triad gang operates a lot like the Gang of Four from the story of Ricky, the Godfather offers Bruce Lee Zatoichi's place amongst them, and because Bruce Lee is a lot like Ricky Ho from the story of Ricky, he turns them down and would rather battle them all and then escape. And because this film is a lot like the story of Ricky, how this happens will make little to no sense. This all leads to the king's wives playing paper, rock, scissors to see who gets to seduce Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee refusing them, and them drinking a magic potion which turns them all into mutants.
What has happened to you?
Oh, Lord, we were attacked by Bruce.
How dare he use his strength?
So the king decides to divorce them because their faces resemble bad makeup jobs, and the king is introduced to Emmanuelle, who's been sent to kill him.
And please remember that I am not shitting you.
Yes, Emmanuelle has been sent to kill the king by fucking him to death. At the same time, someone's destroyed something and left a letter I can't read, and this leads to Bruce Lee battling Dracula and an army of guys in skeleton outfits, while dressed as Kato from the Green Hornet. And yes, I realise I've pretty much degenerated into just telling you what's going on.
So Teddy's going to add some appropriate music.
Oh yeah, I am.
If someone made a film version of the Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny, I think it would look a lot like this.
So Emmanuelle is trying to fuck the King of the Dead to death, and for some reason that I can't quite explain, one of the King's men is keeping tabs on how much fucking they're doing. This leads to the funniest thing in the film.
You're gonna kill me! My lord! Watch out! The vibration's up to 10,000 cycles!
It's over 9,000!
So Bruce Lee gets into the King's bedroom and interrupts the sex by throwing a letter at the King.
What's it say?
I'd love to know too.
The exorcist. Emmanuelle. That's it. Her pussy's in this plot too. She was using it to murder me.
So, having worked out that Emmanuelle's vagina is part of the plot to kill him by way of heart attack, the King decides to ask Bruce Lee to become his new sidekick.
Bruce Lee, from today onwards, you are the new captain of my bodyguard.
I can only now assume that the King intends to spend his evenings dressed in green and letting Bruce Lee fight crime.
So Emmanuelle's now out of the film. I don't know what happened to her, but I assume it involved being turned into a giant tit and ass monster. The film then nearly rips a hole in space-time with the ridiculousness of having living skeletons in hell explain how they barely escaped with their lives.
And we were lucky to escape with our lives!
And James Bond gets into a dramatic confrontation with Bruce Lee that could only be improved if both characters were actually in the shot.
Well, I reckon you get stolen money.
And given the fact that he went down faster than an altar boy to seminary, I assumed that was Roger Moore.
Clint Eastwood reacts to James Bond's defeat by showing off his ventriloquist and French accent skills.
We have to go to the palace ourselves and kill the king.
But since that would be entirely too sensible, Clint Eastwood decides to face off against Bruce Lee, mano a mano.
And given the look on Bruce's face, I get the feeling that he hasn't been told why he's standing there watching cameras do random dolly zooms. Anyway, they fight and Eastwood goes down almost as fast as James Bond, but to his eternal credit, he manages to keep his cigarette in his mouth the whole time. So the locals celebrate because Bruce Lee has freed them from the tyranny of the random as fuck squad. And a local woman says this.
That's right, Bruce. Now we can look forward to a peaceful life.
Meaning I have to say this. the fuck? You are dead. You are all dead. D-E-D. You are deceased. You are ex-wankers. If you hadn't been cast in this shitty movie, you would have rung down the curtain and joined the fucking choir invisible. You have been pushing up the daisies. You have ceased to exist. You are fucking dead.
Mistress, you got the Order of the Dead Parents sketch wrong.
What the fuck is a dead parent sketch? Go and fucking attack the shades.
It was his last wish that his body be sent to Mexico.
You are dead. He is dead. You are rotten. You are in the ground. You are dead. You are in ancient Chinese hell. There is no Mexico. Get me 2 minions right now. Were you following the film?
Yes.
Does it make any sense?
Yes.
Shoot yourself in the head. Does the film make any sense?
Yes.
In the head. Now, do I feel better? No. Where was I?
Ah yes, the Exorcist and the Godfather try the walk into the enemy stronghold method of storming the castle, and come face to face with the King of the Underworld's elite Sergeant Kabukiman NYPD guards. But as unlikely as it sounds, the Godfather and the Exorcist are both kung fu masters.
So why didn't they just walk in beforehand? Probably because it would make too much sense.
So the king distracts his enemies by throwing his hat at them and sets off a massive earthquake, which destroys most of the town, and kills Pai Mei and drives everyone else out to the same rocky pass where most of the fights take place.
Have you ever wanted to see Bruce Lee battle the Godfather and the Exorcist? Well, you sort of kinda can. Because it's time for another fight scene.
Seeing that the impossible has happened and the Exorcist has been defeated in combat by Bruce Lee, it's now time for the Godfather to take off his shirt and in doing so look more like the actual Bruce Lee than the guy playing Bruce Lee. I have to say, he puts up a decent fight, possibly because he actually looks like Bruce Lee, but he's soon defeated, allowing the film to introduce a new villain roughly 15 minutes before the end.
I have just retired. I don't know what's going on.
I've been watching the film, and I don't know what's going on.
This guy, they never tell us who he is, so I'm going to assume he's the Monkey King. Naturally, he leads an army of mummies against Bruce Lee, because even though he'd been brought in to defeat the now dead Exorcist and the Godfather, it would be a shame not to use an army of mummies that you paid for.
Cut out the bullshit. This has got to stop. We must have justice.
You ignorant heap of buffalo dung. I'll give you a lesson you won't forget.
Round 1. Fight! Round 2. Fight!
Let's hold hands and sing. Ring-a-ring-a roses, a pocket full of posies, a tissue, we all fall down.
Yeah, this is not an apocalypse without a circle of death.
Round 3. Fight!
Of course, not even Bruce Lee can take on a gang of NPCs with infinite continues without help, so Popeye, Kane, and some other guy that I've decided to call Frodo join in.
Goodbye, Mary Poppins. Don't stay away too long.
Ah yes, the great day when Bruce Lee breathed life again and returned to the land of the living, ready to feast on the brains of lesser martial artists. I remember it well. Well, I kinda don't, but the guy who drew this does. That was thanks to Welshie. The dragon lives again. And I didn't make it up.
Apart from being the single most insane thing I've yet reviewed, you really have to worry about the morality of making a film about a man who'd recently died and having it end with him magically returning to life. All I can say is that I hope the man's children didn't see it when it came out.
Hey, Mommy, Daddy beat up the devil and came back to life, but he didn't come to see us. Why does Daddy hate us?
This film is real, and it makes the clones of Bruce Lee look like a respectful documentary. If you're a Bruce Lee fan, a fan of what the fuckery, or just curious, then try to watch it. Maybe not all at once, though. And maybe not under the influence of strong hallucinogens.
I'm the Amanda Hagen, and I have to live with that every day.